Good morning. So this is a bit of an experiment. I'll see how far this goes. I hope it goes a long way. Excuse me. I'd rather enjoy it. Hold up. I'd rather enjoy doing this. So part of my life. Well, welcome to I guess for lack of a better title, an atheist Bible study. So part of my daily routine was very important to me that I spend my time doing worthwhile things, and one of those things is studying the Bible. Even though I'm not a Christian, I haven't been a Christian since I was about 16 years old, but I study the Bible because I recognize that it is the foundation religion. You know that, along with Judaism. Foundation religion of and I think I'm getting the whole kit, both of them in one shot with the Old Testament and the New Testament, covering Judaism and Christianity. It's a founding religion. It's a cornerstone of my culture, of Western civilization. So whether or not I believe, it's important that I'm well versed in, no pun intended, in the Bible, and able to talk about it with an understanding. So I read it every day. I read one chapter every day. And, well, to be honest, I do like to read it when I can. I have a beautiful Bible at home that I like to read when I can. But typically the best time to do it is on this commute. I love my long commute every day. So when I start my commute every morning, I have a Bible app on my phone. And it remembers where I left off. And I always proceed like I said, one chapter a day, moving forward. And then after it's done, I finish that chapter, I stop it, and I think about it. And then tomorrow I'll move forward another chapter, and it's kind of fun. It's like, you remember those old 1920s, 1930s serial dramas, and today, what will happen with the Flash? The Flash left hanging on the edge of a cliff. What will happen tomorrow? Will the Flash be saved, or was this the end for our caped hero? I kind of wonder that too, like where I left off today was with this 1 Samuel. I think it was 1 Samuel, it was somewhere in the 20s, where Saul just died, and David was taking over, and I couldn't quite get it because David was a little bit pissed about some guys that he wanted some shepherds. Sometimes it takes you have to listen to it a couple of times before you get it, and it was a chapter that I couldn't quite get. David was a little pissed about some shepherds that didn't give him something that he wanted, and he was gonna lay vengeance against anybody that could piss against a wall. I mean, I'm not being vulgar, that's exactly what it said. But I decided midway through that, as I was having a hard time understanding it, that particular chapter, and I thought, gosh darn it, I don't understand it. And then part of the reason was I realized I was being distracted and I wasn't paying close attention. And I had an idea. I thought, what if I was to do this? Because I found that I do this thing called the Good Life meditation, where I talk about my life objectives and principles. And if I do that out loud to the camera and record it and then upload it, I do a much better job. And I thought, maybe I'll do a better job of paying attention to the Bible if I record my thoughts after each chapter and then upload that. And then I'll be, my attention will be on the words. So I thought I'd give that a try. So I rewound my Bible all the way back to Genesis, and I'm starting over at chapter 1. So let me just recap again. My practice for more than a year now has been to just move through the Bible chapter by chapter. And in that time, it's been kind of slow going. Like I said, I was only up to Samuel, although I did take a break because I thought I was getting a little too Old Testament heavy, and I wanted to make sure I had a good grounding in the three Gospels, So I went up, I zipped up. This was last autumn. I zipped up to the New Testament and went through the Gospels real quick, just to make sure that I could have them in mind. And then I came back. I kind of lost my place in the Old Testament. I came back, and I think I started with Acts or something like that, and started my way through. But my intent is to do this for the rest of my life, just to keep on going round and round and round. And it's really become very helpful. It's helpful, and not in the way that. If you read the title of this, an atheist read the Bible, you might think that you're coming into something that I'm going to be trying to poke holes and everything, and just coming at it with a critical eye. And I will do that, just as I will do that with anything. If you watch my Good Life meditation videos, my first ambition is to poke holes in my own principles and objectives, and likewise anything else. I will, but that's not my it's not my modus operandi. I hate using that term. It's not what I'm after. I'm not coming after here, armed for shooting bear. I really am curious, and if there is something in there that gives credence to these claims, I want to know about it. Heck, I don't want to burn in hell if there is a hell. Although if it's a hell that the Bible describes, if it literally is just the way that we typically lay it out to be, a white-haired deity with his Son and the Holy Ghost, and the option of belief and heaven, and disbelief or rejection and hell, I probably will choose the hell option, based on what I understand of the two, because the game seems loaded. It seems front loaded to disadvantage people that come at it with people like me who cannot believe on faith alone. I'm literally incapable of doing that. It's an affront to reason. So if we're going to send people to hell by virtue of an innate capability that apparently I was created with, then I'm going to choose that option. I'd rather go to hell with my reason and my virtue and my reason and my values intact, and with a sound mind that I really did give it my best shot, and simply that the deity was too hidden, and relied on mechanisms that were beyond my willingness to accept, and then I'll accept hell, rather than to basically take my reason and my objectivity and my honesty and put that in a strong box and put it under the bed and just say I'm just going to believe. I can't do that. I'm literally incapable of doing that. It would be disingenuous if you hear me ever say one day I believe, oh Lord, please accept me into your heart, then you'll know that I'm being dishonest with myself. And the deity, that if God is real, I'm sure that because it seems to be personified by Christians as he would see through that. And I'd get up there and he'd say, yeah, not so much. I saw through that. You weren't being honest. And I'd go to hell anyway. So, and if he bought it, well, what a strange place that would be. What if I'm sitting up there and I meet St. Peter, or better yet, God himself, and he says, so, I see that you became a Christian. Wink, wink. Yeah, I was a Christian. I believed in you. Wink, wink. We both know that I only gave in because of I only said so because of fear or suspension of my critical faculties. And he says, okay, well, welcome to the Christian heaven. Wink, wink. Here, open the pearly gates. What is that? I don't deserve that. I deserve hell. Pull that lever, have the trap door open beneath my feet and send me down. So I try to read the Bible every day so that I understand this foundational text and tradition, and also something that's so instrumental in informing so much of my culture and Western culture and world culture for that matter, and also so that I can converse in a more informed manner with Christians. That's not very often that I do, but when I do, I like to be knowledgeable of things. Not to win the arguments necessarily, but to be knowledgeable. If you're not knowledgeable of something, then you wind up, falling back on emotional arguments. That's saying that's stupid. What an idiotic belief. How can you think that way? That's not right. I'd much rather be able to have a discussion based on the facts of the Bible and the stories and the history, if some would rather say, that is being laid out there. I'm sure there is a lot of history in there. So let's get on with it. So this first, so I rewound all the way back to Genesis 1, and I'm going to. I just listened to it again. It's a short chapter, as you know, and I'm just going to talk about it a little bit. Now, unfortunately, I can't take notes while I'm on my bike, so I kind of have to pull it from memory, and maybe that's a good thing, because maybe if I do this every day, or and I only read the Bible Monday through Friday when I'm on my commute. I don't do it on the weekend. Heck, even God took the weekend off. So maybe if I do this way, this will help me improve my memory. So let's talk about it. What are my impressions of Genesis 1? I think Genesis 1 is absolutely beautiful. It's an astonishingly beautiful creation story. It kind of moves me every time I listen to it. You know, the whole sense of imagining the dark emptiness of a universe without creation. And hold on, I have to scratch my eye. And the Creator moving across that as. And that if anything will inspire you to imagine God as a timeless, spaceless, omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient entity beyond space and, like I said, beyond space and time, then those first couple of verses in chapter 1 will do that. You know, just imagining God, you know, as they say, moving across the face of the water. Which I've heard in other things that's a reference to God, Yahweh being a wind god. In fact, that the word Yahweh. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze, which is a gross thing to do inside a helmet because I can't escape from the microphone being right in front of me. Okay, it's passing, but of course it'll come back, right? Which is a beautiful thing because I actually heard that if you say Yahweh, it's like you're breathing. It's like Yah. Well, can't quite do it. It's like breathing in and out is like, breathing in is like Yah, and then exhaling is way. So like with every breath, you're saying God's name. It's a beautiful idea. But anyway, I'm off track. So it's a beautiful story. And then, you know, the whole idea of the successive days where God is creating one bit after another. And now, of course, I could jump right into, you know, the contradiction of things not necessarily making sense about the order of things, but I'll let that be. I'm not so much interested in the contradictions, which I think are mostly self-evident, as I am my impression of the story in each chapter. So I will touch upon contradictions or, you know, silliness when I see it, if it comes to mind. So anyway, back to my point. You know, these successive days, one after another, yielding more and greater creation, leading up to the creation of man and woman in the image of God. So the questions that come to my mind, okay, leading up to the end, right? And it's curious because chapter 1 ends at the 6th day. It doesn't talk about God taking a break on the 7th day. So I'm sure that'll come in chapter 2 if I remember right. Which is very similar. Chapter 2 it's almost like a versioning up, you know. It's like, because like in my own book, Going Alone, I take a different pass through the book and I write different paragraphs differently. And when I read chapter 1 and chapter 2 of Genesis, I'm like, wait a minute, that sounds like for chapter 1 was a first draft and a first try, and chapter 2 was the second try, and they did it differently, but managed to keep both of them in there. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So it ends on the 6th day. Everything is created. And one thought was that gosh, I had a couple of thoughts, but I kind of lost the first two and only can remember the last one. The last one was that there goes a motorcycle cop over there. So God created us in their image, and I know that theologians have touched upon this. I'm wondering what that their image is, or may make it made in the image of us. Who is the us? Is that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, or are there, as are hinted elsewhere in the Bible, perhaps a pantheon of gods in, you know, back there in the background? Because monotheism was a rather unique thing in early first century Palestine. So most religions had multiple gods. So I'm curious to know where that reference, that pluralism refers to, made in the image, made in our image. You know, what's this about the image? So does that mean that God literally has a form? He looks like one of us? Looks like literally like a man? If so, what is the need of a timeless, spaceless, immortal, all-powerful being with all these curious bits and pieces of a body, you know, toenails and appendix and eyelashes and pituitary glands, or when he says just an image, does that mean that he's like you know, some sort of like one of Plato's perfect images? Imagine, you know, Plato always in his perfect forms. He imagines the perfect form of a chair, and is God like that? You know, like a perfected form, and we're just, you know, he had to fill in all the blanks with all these mechanisms to make it work. I don't know. Well, anyway, I'm running out of time. I'm actually at the point where I need to start the good life, so I better wrap up. So altogether, I'm very moved by Genesis 1, and it's a great opening line, opening bit for the story, and I can see how, as I've done in the past, when I've read the Bible, and I've attempted to read the Bible in the past, you get about, you know, you get through Genesis and maybe a little bit into, you know, in a little further into Exodus and whatever the heck, you know, I can't remember those first couple books, and then you kind of stop. And if you peter out there and you don't get very much further, I can see how you can get left kind of convinced, that sounds pretty good. But so yeah, beautiful opening. And here I am. I have to stop here. This sign is where I start the good life. So I'm going to cut off now and begin the good life. And thank you. And so I'll upload this as my first An Atheist Reads the Bible. Take care.